There's a common misconception among beginners that if you see a check, you should play it, because after all, the point of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king. So if checkmate is good, well then checks are probably good too, right? Wrong. A check in and of itself means nothing. It's only when you pair it with something else that it becomes truly powerful. Let me give you a good example. There's a line out of the Sicilian defense where you would play the move bishop to e2 here, completely ignoring your pawn on e4. And the point is that if black takes that, now you can play a check, but it's not just a check. You also have this attack on the knight. So it's actually a fork. And regardless of what black does, you're going to win this knight for free. So you see how in this example, we paired that check with something else, and that's what made it so good. Let me give you one more example. Here's a line that I like to play against the Caro-Kann defense. I have a course on this, by the way, links in the description. But we gambit this f3 pawn, and if black accepts and then plays the move bishop to g4, now we have a killer move. If you'd like to pause, this one's not too hard to find. If you said bishop takes f7 check, you are correct. This is not just a check where the king can take us. We have a follow-up, knight to e5 with a fork, and guess what? We're winning a piece here. Black's going to have to move. We take this, and we just won we won our piece back, and we got the pawn on f7, and black can't castle, and black's in a bad position. But we had some other piece of information about the position, namely this discovered attack on the bishop here with the follow-up fork that made this check valuable. If we were to go to a position like this and just say, oh, I see a check, I'm going to do it, this is a terrible move. Black just simply takes this, and we have nothing. Now, some of you might be saying, well, hey, hang on a second. We have our queen. It looks like we can get some more checks. But really, does that help us? Queen h5 check. Queen f3 check. Queen b3 check. Great. This is great. We've got so many checks, right? And black plays king to g7, and guess what? We have no more good checks. We don't want to lose our queen. We've just wasted a bunch of moves, going here, going here, going here. And look at black's position. We're totally lost. Right? We lost our bishop for no reason. You see how just in and of themselves, checks don't really mean anything, right? You have to have something that goes along with it. Now, going back to our original position here, there's something else that makes this check bad. Not just the fact that it doesn't really do anything, but the fact that after we go there, black is going to play the move c6, and guess what? Now we have to move our bishop and waste a move, or in chess, we would say we waste a tempo. See, a tempo in chess is just one move. Each side gets a tempo. White gets one tempo each move, black gets one tempo each move. And how you use that is very valuable. See, now that I've played here and my opponent plays c6, attacking my bishop, I don't want to lose my bishop for a pawn, so I have to move it. But now that I move it, black has essentially gotten this move for free. We just gave black an entire tempo. If you imagine, if I go back here for a second, I could have played bishop c4 on the first move of the game. And now if black plays the move c6, we get the exact same position, but it's my turn. I can continue developing. I can get ready to castle. I can play d4 and get control of the center. Going back to our original game here, after bishop b5 check, c6, back here, same position, but now it's black's turn, and they're the one who gets to develop and start doing stuff, right? Just wasted a move for no reason. So you can see how checks like this, and particularly the rule is if a pawn can block your check and attack you at the same time, don't play that move because you're wasting a tempo. Another way that tempos show up is in the form of gambits. So here's an example for you. The Evans Gambit comes out of the Italian game. After black plays bishop c5, white plays the move b4, totally giving away a pawn for free. With the whole point is that we're going to get tempo as white. We're going to get some tempos because if, let's say black takes with the bishop, we're going to play c3 with tempo. We're going to play d4 with tempo on the bishop, right? That's the whole point behind giving away this pawn, to get some quick expansion in the center, right? Another example is the Danish Gambit. So this one's e4, e5, d4, and instead of recapturing and actually losing a tempo to black's knight on our queen, we say, nope, I'm going to play c3, and black can just keep on taking. I'm going to play bishop c4. Black can keep taking, and now I'm going to take it back. And yes, I lost 2 pawns in the process, but look what I have in return. My bishops are ready to go. There's a lot of tactical ideas, and black has to be extremely careful that they don't just get checkmated or lose some, major pieces in this opening. So it's a pretty good trade-off, right? The tempo is extremely important. So when you're playing your games and you're presented with an opportunity to put your opponent in check, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions first. Number 1, am I going to be losing tempo by doing this? And if so, don't play it. And then the other question is, do I have something really good that's going to come about from this check? And there's really two things that might happen. Number one is, do you have a fork? So going back to this example, right, this is one of the common reasons why you would want to play that check, because there's a fork where you just win some material. That's a great reason to go ahead and do it. And the other reason is, do I cause my opponent to do something awkward that they wouldn't want to do otherwise? So let me give you a good example of this. There's an opening that I like to play as white sometimes called the King's Gambit. It's a very aggressive, somewhat risky opening, but it can be a lot of fun. But there's this line in the King's Gambit accepted where I'll play the move bishop to c4. And there's a move here by black, which is very popular, queen to h4 check. It's actually a good move. It's a good move for black. This is one of the main lines. And the reason this is such a good move is because it forces me to move my king over. See, there's a tactical reason why I can't play g3, because black simply takes, and I can't take this way or I'm losing my rook and I'm in trouble, right? So because of that, I have to move my king. Now, would I normally want to play a move like king to f1? No, I would want to castle and, you know, get my king to safety, right? Castle maybe here, maybe here. I wouldn't want to play king to f1. So black is forcing me to move my king by playing queen h4 check, forcing me to do something I didn't want to have to do. So this is a perfect example of when it makes sense for black to play that check. Another reason is if you're forcing your opponent to trade a piece that maybe they didn't want to trade, maybe putting them in check to force that trade could be another example. So are you forcing them to do something they don't want to do, or do you just have a fork where you're just winning material? If you don't have one of those two reasons, it's probably not going to be a great idea to play that check. Okay, so hopefully that helps you guys when you are presented with checks in your games. You'll know what to look for, and you won't make the mistake of losing tempo on those bad checks that don't really help you. Stay sharp, play smart, and take care.